हेलो एवरीबॉडी, होप यू ऑल आर डूइंग गुड। आज मैं आपके साथ आई हूँ कम्युनिकेशन की जो पहली यूनिट है, द फर्स्ट यूनिट विच सेज अबाउट द कम्युनिकेशन, इट्स टाइप्स and the different definition of the communication, the different types in the case like types on the basis of number of participants, types on the basis of gestures and expressions, types on the basis of communication types on the basis of technology, on the basis of direction. So today in this video, I'll try to cover at least two to three types, and will let you know about what communication is, what the different scholars they explain communication, and how the meaning differs from one scholar to the another. So this video is for them, like those who are appearing for their UGC NET exam. This video is dedicated to them, those who are appearing for their masters in entrance, like they want to do masters and they have communication as a background, and also for those who are doing BBA and other subjects, because communication is one of the one of the important area and one of the subjects, I guess, for them as well. So let's get started without wasting time. So this is the PPT. Hope it is visible to you. One second. Just need 1 second of yours. Yeah. Let me minimize my presence. And here it is, the introduction to mass communication. So this is the definition, how we will start. So the scholarly definition of communication, I have like four different scholars who have explained communication in their own way. So I think you must heard about Dennis Maxwell. Now, Dennis Maxwell has said that communication is the process of transmitting information, ideas, attitudes, or emotions from one person to group to another person through symbols. Okay, so Dennis Maxwell is talking about how communication is the kind of a communication is a process. Of course, why it is said that, I think you can observe that not just Dennis Maxwell, but Wilbur Scram, Harold de Laswell, Charles Osgood, everybody has said that communication is a process. Now, this is really important to know why communication is said as a process. Communication is said as a process because communication is an ongoing thing. It is an ongoing process. Communication never ends. If you think that communication has started and it has particular end of it, communication has no ending. Like you must be thinking that we are talking to person and at one point of time our conversation stops. That is, that means that the communication has stopped or communication has ended, but it is not like that. Communication is a never ending process. It goes on. And that is why the Charles Osgood has said that communication is a circular process. Like it is a circular process. कम्युनिकेशन की शुरुआत होती है और कम्युनिकेशन हमेशा चलते रहता है. If you can think that communication हमारे दिमाग में, even the conversation is over, but still that communication is going on your mind. Communication is going on that person's mind as well. So that is how communication is process of the continuous thinking, evaluating, analyzing. It is also about the formation of ideas, formation of information, formation of attitude, formation of emotions. Everything falls under this communication. अब ये जो चार definitions that you already can see into this, communication has come from a word called communis. That communis is a word which came from a Latin word, you can say, which mean common. So when there is something common between the two people, we can say that communication is actually working, right? Let me just check 1 second. I'm just checking if I'm still live or not, because I don't get any notification so far. Let me just check once. Just 1 minute. Yes. Okay. So I guess now you could see my video as well. Yeah, it is visible. It is visible. Sorry for the delay. Yeah. So now you can see the definitions that Dennis Mackwell. I guess now you can see my. So Dennis Mackwell, and then the Wilbur Scram has also said that communication is the process of establishing commonness or sharing of information, ideas, attitudes, between sender and a receiver. So everybody is saying that communication is a process. One has said that communication is transmission of information, ideas, attitudes. Now Wilbur Scram is saying that communication is the process of establishing a commonness. Of course, commonness is a must factor, mandatory factor in communication. You can see, we always say that communication can always establish in two individual. Between two individual, we can establish communication. But no, even if you are communicating with a person, it is fine. But what about a baby? What about a small baby, an infant? You do not know your language. The mother also do not know the language of a baby, but still they are communicating with each other, because there was a language of fiction, there is a language of love, there is a language of compassion, there is a language of the universal language, you can say that, uh, the trust. So communication doesn't have a language as such. Yeah, it is good that communication is communication must have a common language. It is needed to get a better understanding, but it is not mandatory that a common language should be there. What about a person who is a pet lover? He's communicating with a dog. Pet lover is communicating with a cat, and they are exchanging their they are exchanging their emotions, their ideas, whatever they are. He's giving some kind of a command to a pet, and the pet is following that command, but there is a no common language, but still they are able to communicate with each other. And even if you are communicating with a plant, because I know people, they communicate every morning, they just get up and they just have they communicate with the plant as well, and they sing, go there in their area, they even sing a song, and the plant grows. And it has been scientifically proved that if you are communicating with a plant, the plant grows, the plant also blooms, you can say that. So communication has a language, but it is not that mandatory. What is mandatory is the common factor between you and the person, or maybe object which you are communicating, the live object, you can say. So this is what communication is all about. So communication is the process of who says what. Now this is what Harold D. Laswell is saying. You can see the third definition over here. The third definition by Harold D. Laswell. So Harold D. Laswell has said that communication is a process of who says what, in which channel, to whom, with what effect. Now into this, he's talking about who is the sender of the message, says what is the message, in which channel, is talking about the medium, with whom is that receiver, and with what effect is talking about the impact of the communication. Now every communication has some sort of an impact. If you are communicating, there must be having some kind of a purpose, some kind of an impact. So he's talking about the effect which is creating from your message or from your communication. So Harold D. Laswell is again saying that, but if you can see that this is, he's not talking about it is talking about the process, but you can see that Who says what, in which channel, to whom, with what effect. It is ending, this definition is ending at effect. But this definition is not talking about feedback. So every communication is seeking a feedback. Every communication needs a feedback. Without a feedback, communication can never be successful. Because if I am communicating with you, I am actually, that time when I was searching for my phone because of knowing the kind of a feedback. I was just looking for the comments. I was just looking for the live session, if it has started or not, who all have, joined my session or not. So everybody is seeking a feedback because everything is seek feedback driven thing. Even if advertisement is there, the advertisement also seek a feedback, because upon that feedback the advertisement will further further improve their kind of a quality, you can say, after getting to know, after getting the feedback of the audience, the customers, that what kind of a feedback they are getting from it. So everything, every marketing needs a feedback, every advertisement needs a feedback, every news channel needs a feedback. Now you can see that even if you start a news channel, the comment section is bombarding with some sort of a feedback. Every person, like, you're just giving promptly, you are messaging, and that feedback is appearing on the screen. So everything is feedback driven, feedback oriented, you can say. So this is the definition of communication. Now let's come to the next slide. Now the next slide, you can see the two words information and communication are often used interchangeably, but they signify quite different things. Information is giving out, but communication is getting through. It is said by Sydney J. Harris. Now, very important that we sometimes think that I just have communicated with that person and I've said everything to that person, and everything has been communicated. But there is a difference between the two. You know, there is a difference between communication and information. Communication is about, let's first talk about the information. Information is just about giving out all the thing, instructions, circular. You're just informing the people without seeking a feedback from them. You're not seeking feedback, you're just informing them. Okay, right? Like, say, for example, at 12 p.m., your this class has to assemble at room number 008 or 009 or 0010 for photography session. So this is what, this is a feedback. This is there is no feedback into this is just an information. So information is just about that. You're not taking anybody's feedback, you are just giving the information about it. But communication is getting through. Now this information, this piece of information, if you communicate with them, how you will communicate it to the students, you can say that every students has to be, you all have to assemble at 008 or 009 for a photography session. A very known a renowned photographer will come, and he will take a session of one or two, and you all have to participate into it. You all can ask questions. Now after giving all this thing, the students will ask further questions like, what if I have, if I can show some of my good pieces to them, some of my good photography to them. I also have some queries. So this is all, you are addressing those questions, and then you are also communicating it, then you are taking all the questions one by one, and then you are giving answers to the students, and you're getting through. Now you are into this thing that, that students have n number of questions regarding that session, and you are answering it to them. So this is the basic difference between the information and communication. Now let's come to this part. You can see this picture, the evolution of communication, how it all started. The first picture is about, this is how the communication has started. And at the end, you can see that this is how the communication is right now. It is into existence. and how it all started, the evolution of communication, how it has evolved over the period of time, right? So the first picture itself is a picture of, you can say, a cave painting kind of a thing, where during when there were no, uh, there were no copy, there were no, there was nothing, there was no language as such. Now how people used to communicate, the people used to communicate with the help of such kind of a painting. This is also called as a cave painting, where people used to paint it, and those paintings were also not being invented at that moment of time. They used to paint it with some kind of a flower color or something like that. So this is how they used to communicate. They used to paint it, and the objects for the painting were the animals, the weapons, like those era weapons. I'm not talking about the today's era weapons. Those eras weapon, the kind of people, object, weapons. These were the object of the communication. So with that kind of a thing, they used to communicate with each other. And I think, whether you have seen or not, there is one place called Bhim Betika in Bhopal. So if you get a chance, you just go and visit that place, because that place itself is all about the cave painting era. You'll go and you'll every corner of those that place, it is, that area is purely painted with this cave painting. And every sort of there is a stone everywhere, and in that stone you can see this kind of a cave painting. And every painting speaks some kind of information, some kind of, they're communicating something or the other. If you know some kind of there must be one person who will guide you over there, a tourist guide, and he will tell you how this kind of a paintings, the people at that era used to communicate with each other. So this is the painting era. Now the second one is the pigeon era. You can say the pigeon used to communicate. They used to take the information and they used to pass on to the other person. So you already know about it. And there is a one popular song as well, Kabutar Ja Ja Ja. So even if you do not belong to that Kabutar wala age era, you can just hear that song. It is available on a YouTube. Now the third picture you can see is, it is about a printing press. So now in the printing press, you can see that this person called Johannes Gutenberg, or you can say, he's also been pronounced as Hans Gutenberg. So whatever name is correct, you can call it on that way. So he used to be that person who's been given that credit of coming out with a movable type of printing press. So he was that person. So um, you know. um before the printing press, how the you people used to communicate. Of course, you can see these two pictures. This is how the people used to communicate. But after, I think I have made one small video about the printing press. If you haven't seen that yet, just go to the description. I will share that printing press that entire video into that link, so you can just visit that video, and you can get to know about the printing press era, how it all started, and before the printing press, how it all were. So during the printing press era, there were, a lot of information was there, but they were all manuscripted information, हाथ से लिखे हुए information, और सारी किताबें हुआ करती थी. So that is how the people, they used to do it. They were just writing all the things with their hands. There were no printing press. So the all the important books, you could see that they were all manuscripted, they were all handwritten. And it was such a tedious process, because there was a particular team who used to be that they used to write all those important books with their hands. So this is how the evolution of printing presses started. But then, realizing that something must be needed, so China was that country who first came up with that manual printing press, basically. So it was all about a printing press where, uh, not a movable type, but it was a static printing press with a huge machine. And what the people used to do is that, it was a very tedious process, because first you have to put the ink into it, and then you have to lay down one paper, and then you have to make some blocks. It was said as a block printing press kind of a thing. So you have to made some blocks, and that into blocks you have to add on some kind of ink, and then you have to press that onto the paper, and then you have to remove that press. You can see that this printing press, that that prints are there in that paper. So this is how it all started, but then realizing the thing that it is really a very tough process, and a lot of people were involved into that thing. So further, Johannes Gutenberg, he came up with this printing press, and after that it became so much easy for people who really wanted to come up, print their books, or publish their important manuscripts basically. So this is how it all started, and after emergence of this printing press, you could say that uh, everything becomes easy, at least for those who really wanted to print a newspaper or a book or a mythological book or a religious book, who want to propagate some of their religion to other people. So after the emergence of the printing press, it has become much easier for them. So again, that video, I'll share it in the description, and you could just click it and you get to know how it all started, and who all were involved, which countries came first, and which country invented what. So everything will be there in that video. Now, the second phone is the microphone, you can say, sorry, telegraph era. So that is that era. Next is the radio, the emergence of radio. These are all the important milestones in communication. Very, very important milestones. Evolution of communication as well as the milestones in communication. Radio was a big milestone because it actually helped the ruler people, uh, with some of the good educational programs. With good, the farmers were the one who actually uh, got a lot of benefit from the radio, because there were different programs served for the farmers, served for the school dropout students. A lot of programs were made for the housewives. Some of the musical program made for the army people. So a lot of such programs were made, specially catered for a different segment of the audience. Okay, so this was the two milestones, were the radio and the televisions, and both of it are served as big, big, big milestones. So then the emergence of telephone again, it, you can say that it became much easier for them. Then the fax came, the telephone came, and now we are into this internet era. Now I think there should be one more visual should be there about the AI era. Now we are living not just the internet era, but also in the AI era, the artificial intelligence era. So you can see that everything has become so easy now these days, that even if you are not feeling good, and if you are feeling some kind of a headache, some kind of nausea or something like that, you can just write into the chat GPT that these are the symptoms, and the chat GPT will help you out what is the exact reason for that, and even provide some kind of medicine. I'm not saying that you should follow those without concern, getting a doctor involved into it, but you get a lot of things. The gharilu nuske also the chat GPT will provide you. You can take the ajwain soft pani or this and that. Even if you want to follow a diet, and you can just put on your basic information, that your age, your weight, your BMI, everything, and that chat GPT will provide you your entire diet plan day by day, all four times of meals, everything. And even they, after providing that, they can also give you a kind of a tentative weight loss strategies, like end of the month, after this, following this kind of a diet plan, how much weight you could lose, how much weight you could lose after 3 months, after a year. Everything is there in these days. Everything is there. So artificial intelligence has come up, but again, it is up to you, like how you are using artificial intelligence in your own way. Even if there are a lot of research students in our days, like those days research was such a big task, because that time everything has to be done manually. Even if you want to write a literature review, you have to go manually with one by one paper, you have to read out that paper, you have to make certain notes out of it. And even if you're not doing it by handwritten, you have to make an Excel file, and you have to keep a master file, you have to put all the information and all that thing. But these days, after coming the AI, you can see that n number of these AI platforms are there, like the Elicit, PaperPal, then you have SiteSpace, you have Gemini AI. Uh, I don't know. These are like a handful, but there are n number of consensus. So many such AI tools which could help you out. In giving you a literature review, also about what into that paper it is written, what is the conclusion, how this paper is different from the from you. They can do the cross checking of both the papers. This paper is saying what, if it is related to your theme or not. Everything is there. It has become so much easy these days. So communication has become so easy all these days, but still, it is something you have to think about it, that nowadays when the communication has become easy with the help of this telephone, then the AI era and everything, but still people have become complicated. Don't you feel that? If you feel that, you just message me if I'm saying wrong or what. At that time, communication was difficult and different both, but people were sorted. But these days, communication is so much easy, but people have become difficult and different and completely introvert. I This is my observation so far. Anyways, now just come to the next slide. The next slide is about communication process. Okay. Now you can see this is the communication process. As I said, that all the scholars has said about communication is a process. Everybody is saying that communication is a process. But what is that process? This is the process. So, elements of communication process. So, you can see that this is the entire process, how the communication is coming to the sender. The sender is typing a message, you could see, right? Maybe a WhatsApp message. And then the message must have some kind of a context. Every message has a context, like on which context you're talking about. What is the context of the conversation? Without a context, you can't think of a message. There must be, every message must have a context. The message is going to the sender, I mean to the receiver, but this message is being encoded. Okay, the message is encoded basically. So, what is encoding? Encoding is like your thoughts are being translated into typing. So, whatever your thoughts are, you're just typing it into a WhatsApp message. So, that typing is called as encoding. Whatever your thoughts are, whatever your message is, you're just encoding it with typing. So this is called encoding. Now this message, encoded message, is going via media. Media could be the media could be anything. The media could be about the WhatsApp channel or a Facebook or Insta or LinkedIn, any method or any medium. You feel suitable that the message, again the message depends the media. If your message is some kind of an informal message, the informal message has a media like WhatsApp. The media could be just a random message on a phone. But if that message is little bit of formal message, or you're sending that message to your superior or your boss, the message, the media will change accordingly. The media would be what? The media would be an email. The media would be, of course, some kind of a of course, we generally prefer mail over this WhatsApp thing. So the media could be email. Okay. So the media is maybe in this case, this is perhaps it seems like a kind of a WhatsApp message. So in this picture, you can see a WhatsApp message. So that person, the receiver, is receiving that message and then he is decoding that message. So once you can see that, when your message comes, there is some kind of a pop-up. So you just going and clicking that pop-up and then that message appears, and this is the when you're reading that message, it's just called decoding of that message. Like that message is further being read and then it is being decoded by the receiver. So this is how the message communication goes on, like that, right? And then that receiver is sending the feedback to the sender. So you are getting that message and then further you are typing it again, you're giving your feedback, and that feedback goes back to the sender. And that is the reason why I said in the earlier that communication is a systematic as well as it is a continuous process. It is an ongoing process. So this is the reason about that. Now let's come to the next slide. Hope this particular slide is clear to you. If you all are uh, just watching my channel, so I hope you could see that thing, because that was a very important part of communication, process of communication, and it is very very important for your UGC NET exam as well, because lot many questions are being asked in the exam, like what are the elements of communication process. So they must write some important elements which you feel like okay, it must be a process, but वो process में होता ही नहीं है. So you all have to be very particular about what you are reading and what you are writing in your exam. Now let's come to the next slide. Very important again. So this is called the types of communication. The types of communication on the basis of number of person. There are different types of communication, and the different types of communication depends on different categories. So this category belongs to number of person involved into a communication. So number of person, then we'll talk about types of communication on the basis of gestures and expressions. Any questions so far? You could just comment it. I'm live. I can take your questions live and I could answer it. So now let's just talk about the first type is called this intrapersonal communication. Now you can see the intrapersonal communication. The types are intrapersonal first, second is interpersonal communication, third is group communication, and the fourth one is mass communication. Let's go one by one. First, let's talk about intrapersonal communication. Now, intrapersonal communication, as you can see the picture that a person is communicating with oneself, and uh, the communication is about, in intrapersonal communication, when person is communicating within oneself, which involves some kind of a internal dialogue, some kind of self reflection, some kind of personal meaning making, that is called as a intrapersonal communication. Every day you must be thinking that what is this kind of a communication? I never go through with this intrapersonal communication, but every day we are doing intrapersonal communication. The moment we wake up, the moment we are going to a school or going to the office, or maybe we are stuck in a traffic, or we are meditating, or we are praying, we are doing yoga, we are sitting idle, we are roaming around in a garden, everywhere we are doing intrapersonal communication in some way or the other. Like we are asking questions, we have lot of things on our head, even if we are just lying down on a bed, still we are doing intrapersonal communication. So intrapersonal communication is something where you're involving the internal dialogue, you're involving the self reflection, the personal meaning making. So you're understanding yourself, you are emotionally regulating yourself in intrapersonal communication. You are taking some kind of a decision, by sitting idle. You're just thinking about what I'm going to do today, what are the tasks that I need to finish it up today. So these are all intrapersonal types of communication where you are just communicating with oneself. There is one example I would must want to give it to you, that even the meditation is also an intrapersonal communication. Like recently I went to a place, very very, it's quite a long back. I was there at Swami Vivekanand Rock Memorial, that is in Kanyakumari. So there was one particular place. It's a beautiful place. I'm just talking about which year. I would say I was in class 5 or 6 maybe. So you can imagine I'm talking about quite a long time before. So I was there, and there was a particular room into that place, that is called as a meditation room. So one person who was meditating into that room, and he was so much involved into that meditation that you know everybody was just seeing him, because he was so much engrossed into that meditation. It felt so, what would I say, it was such a amazing thing to see how a person is so much involved into that meditation. and he was involved into that prayer. Everybody is doing some kind of a intrapersonal communication in their day-to-day life. So it is really important, if you are doing something, like if you are in an exam and you, when you, the moment you got your result or the report card, you have seen your report card and you realize that this time I didn't performed well, and I need to really think about it. Like next time I have to come up with a good strategy, because otherwise I'll fail in the exam. So you are every day introspecting yourself, you are doing yourself introspection, you are analyzing yourself. So that all comes under the intrapersonal communication. All right. Now let's come to the next part. Into this intrapersonal communication, there is one word which says transpersonal communication. Now, as I said, that intrapersonal is also about communicating with yourself, but as Dean C. Barland has referred that it is not really necessary that intrapersonal communication you're doing it with yourself, but also when you're communicating with a physical, which is not anything which is not seen by other but seen by you, it is also called as intrapersonal communication. Like you're talking to ancestor, you are talking to some spirit, ghost. Yeah, it is actually, it's not said by me, but said by Dean C. Barland, that communication is beyond the individual self. Communication is beyond talking to a physical body, but it is also talking to a spiritual our ancestors who are not seen by others, but it could be seen by you. It is also some kind of a communication that is called as a transpersonal communication, and it has also been asked several times in your exams. So always remember this word, transpersonal communication. Now let's come to the next type, interpersonal communication. But this kind of a communication is the type where you are communicating with another person. Okay, so when two people are involved, it is called as a interpersonal communication. Like communicating with your colleague when you feel like there is a meeting up, ongoing meeting, there is a very important meeting in the next month, and um that meeting everybody needs to has a target to fulfill, and you are communicating one person at a time. You're just talking to one every person in your team, one by one you're meeting them, and asking about the strategy and telling them that what they need to achieve in this month and how they need to perform. So these all comes under interpersonal communication. Like anything where two people are involved. If you are in a date, yeah, even if you are on a date, or you're getting married to that person, so before that you just think, let's just go out for a date, just communicate with that person, just get along with that person. That's how you get to know about each other, taste, the preferences, the likes, dislikes, everything. So after that, after 2 3 meetings, when you feel like this person is a good match, you just go ahead. And you feel like, no, this person is not my type, and he's quite, he is definitely, you definitely do not want to meet him again in your life. So personal meeting is really important to know that person, how that person is, and uh, objective of that person. So, interpersonal communication, as I said, that it is about the process exchanging information, ideas, feelings between two or more people, and this can happen through verbal communication, such as face to face, phone calls, non-verbal methods like body language, facial expression. So, into this interpersonal communication, there is lot many things. Not just that you are conversing with that person, but also you are getting to know what's person mind is speaking. You can also read the mind of that person in interpersonal communication, with the gesture, with their face expression, with their body language, because you could not just listening words or sentences of that person, but you are also absorbing the body language of that person. You are observing very closely that, if that person is nervous, if that person is confident, if that person is confused, everything could be observed in the interpersonal communication. I think this is clear now. This is not the end of interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication has three phases. The first is the fatigue stage, second is the personal stage, and the third is the intimate stage. Now, the first stage is the fatigue stage where the two people are involved and two people are talking about, the fatigue stage is an ice breaking stage of a conversation where it is just limited to hi and hello, or a small talks or a greeting, just exchange of eyes and you just wave your hand, hi, this is Anshu. So this is something like a very small ice breaking, you can say, in the fatigue stage. Now, after passing the fatigue stage, the second stage comes is the personal stage where you are just going more deeper conversation, you're just sharing, like, beyond that hi and hello. Hi, this is XYZ, and how are you? Hope you're doing. Yeah, today's weather is not that good. Yeah, but I love I love such kind of a season. I love going out. I love hanging out with friends. So you're talking more about yourself. You're just going through a much deeper conversation into this personal stage that is called as a personal stage. Now, the third stage is the emotional sharing and closeness, where you are getting intimate in conversation, like you are sharing your secrets, you are sharing your some of important information, some of your important l- you know important information. You could say that the important secrets, important conversation, or important things that you feel like, you are just believe that these things I just share with only those who are very close to me. So this is that stage where you are talking just about yourself and you're communicating with each other, but this is a very emotional kind of a sharing, and you are sharing information which you feel this stage is very much limited to your family members, to your friends, and to those who are, you know your spouse. So this is that stage basically. The next stage is now the focused and the unfocused interaction. This is something very important in interpersonal communication. So these are all a part of interpersonal communication. I'm not yet over about interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication has two kind of interaction. One is focused interaction and another one is unfocused interaction. Now, focused interaction, you already know, when two people are equally involved in a conversation, these are called as a focused interaction. When you are communicating, other person is also listening to you and giving your feedback upon knowing the and upon receiving the information, giving the information again, that process that I've already shared to you, that is a focused interaction. So, Erving Goffman, in his book Behavior in Public Places, argues that most interpersonal communication is unfocused in nature. Focus, you already know. But here, Erving Goffman has said that all communication, mostly all the communication, are unfocused in nature. They are unfocused in nature. That means that when two people are involved in a conversation, but one person is pretty much involved and another person is not even aware that the conversation is going on or some kind of information is going on, that is called as uh, unfocused interaction. Like two people are involved, one person is not knowing that person is involved into the conversation or interaction, and another person is fully involved, is observing everything about you. He's observing your taste, he's observing at what time you're taking lunch, he's observing at what time you go out, observing at what time you just be at the bus stop, observing at what time you are uh, you know what kind of a friends you have, what kind of taste you prefer, food you prefer. So everything has been observed with that person. Maybe it sounds very funny, but actually this kind of a interaction happens, maybe not that deeper, but at a very primary level, unfocused communication happens at every level. Like when you are somehow, when you are in a kind of a college, when it is your first day and everybody is anonymous to you, you're not knowing all the people around you, but still if you are noticing one person whom you feel like that person could be a good friend of mine, he can become a friend if I talk to that person. So that kind of a conversation, your mind is going on with some kind of an unfocused interaction, so you are observing that person very closely because you feel like that person could be a friend in future. So that interaction is called as unfocused interaction. I hope it is clear to you. Now, the two last two, one is the group communication and another one is the mass communication. Now let's talk about the group communication. It's very simple. When a group is there, a small group where all the participants into that group are homogeneous in nature, like all groups participants are a student, that is a group. If all participants are a college student, or all participants are working professionals, or all the participants are they belong to a certain NGOs, or they are all scientists, or they are all doctors. So when a group of people are involved in a class setup, or assembling a particular place, is called as a group communication. So especially specifically they are characteristics of group communication is that multiple participants with a common objective, they must have, the very much important thing is that there should be one common objective into that group. One common objective must be there. The second is being more open compared to individual communication, and serving as a critical mechanism for societal and technological interaction. So, mostly these group are the first characteristic, one common objective should be there, and the second one is that all the participants must have some homogeneity, like they all are, something common should be there, right? So that commonness becomes a group further. Now let's come to the mass communication. Again, very important. Now, mass communication, you can see that picture. Everything that involves using mass media to inform, entertain, or persuade a large audience, requiring a different skills that than personal communication. It compasses traditional. It could be a print, it could be radio, it could be film, it could be TV, it could be any technologies like a video, cable, satellite TV, anything which falls under this category is mass communication. Now let's see the characteristics of mass communication. You could see the characteristics are here. So the first characteristics is the large audience. Mass is about the name itself. It says that mass. It's a large audience, not limited audience. Large. If it is produced and it is being made, it is made for a larger audience. If a radio is making one content, it is making content not for a small group, but it is making content for a large audience. So the large audience is the first characteristics. The second is the heterogeneous audience, like all kind of a categories people fall into this. Like the content should be for, if say for example you're watching Big Boss. So Big Boss is not just made for the school students is also watching, the housewives also watching, some of the husbands are also watching, the school, the old age people, they all are watching. Like KBC is a good example for that. So everybody is watching KBC because I think Amitabh Bachchan is not only famous for just one generation, but is being loved by even the children. So everybody is watching that program. So all the people, all categories of the people, irrespective of their caste, irrespective of their age, irrespective of their geographical location, they all are watching that program, is called as a heterogeneous audience, right? The third is anonymous interaction. Like in group communication, all the participants are completely anonymous to each other. Nobody knows who is just who is that person who is receiving that information. The sender do not know who is receiving that information. Okay, so they don't know about your age, they don't know about your name, they don't know which maybe they know about the geographical location with the help of some satellite, or the advanced satellite can help them to know which region, which places are being people are watching the program, but don't know about your name. So that is why it is called anonymous interaction. Now the fourth one is the delayed feedback. Feedback in mass communication is delayed because it is not instant. However, these days you can see that the feedbacks are instant because now the news channels are coming up, and then instantly they are getting the feedback from the viewers. So with, if you're watching on a YouTube a news program, you could see that, the comment section is bombarding with some sort of feedback. So this is called as a, no more that delayed feedback. Maybe feedback is there, but not that delayed anymore. Geographical scattering, as I said, that people across different locations, different regions, they are watching your program. Professionally produced content is there in mass communication. That means people are actually making your content professionally. They are creating the content. They have a lot of people involved in creating that content. The editor is there, the program, that hiring people are there, the the production team is there, the spot boy is there, lot of people, and then the pre-production team is there. Like after making that content, the pre-production team, the editors is doing their work, the sound effects has been given, so it is done with the help of a professionally produced content. The seventh is the complex process. The process is complex because um, it is involving a lot of people, it is involving a lot of layers and verticals. That is why it is called as a complex process. Eight is gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is because communication, mass communication always need some kind of a gatekeeping, because all the information coming to a mass media, they are not being served for the audience. Everything that is being given and everything that is being coming to the news channels or organization or a print media, a lot of filtration is done. The filtration is done on the basis of which news is important, and which news may create impact on the audience. So on the basis of that, the gatekeeping process is done. So whichever news are important and which they feel like these are important for the audience, those news are kept for publishing it, and other news are being discarded. So this is called the gatekeeping. And then disorganized and shapeless audience, of course, as I said, that people from different locations, anonymity is there. And last is the interactive thought. That is, after the thing has been done, after the program has been made, people will further interact and people will further thought about it. Like one debate is going on ABP news, some very crucial topic is being discussed. So once you debate is being over, still uh, you are still into that process of thinking about it, what that person has said, and this must have some kind of a significance. So this is all about the communication types. And I guess these are the lastly, you can see the major areas of mass communication: journalism, advertising, public relations, radio communication, television and films, digital and new media. So here I'm ending the topic today, but I'm sure next topics will be very important, because I'll start from this major areas under mass communication. I'll talk one by one of all of these, and also I've talked about how the journalism has evolved over the period of time. So now the different terminology has been used in communication and journalism. So how it all came, and what is the meaning of what, and which topics are really important for your exams, everything. Please keep watching my channel. Tomorrow there will be some more updates about it. So if you like the theme, if you like my content, please like it, share it, and share it amongst those who actually need such kind of a program. I'm coming specifically with English content for those who really wanted something to be to be available on that language, because most of the contents are in Hindi. So this is specifically for those who were asking that, ma'am, your content, if it could be in English language for them. So here it is. That is why I came with that language. And remaining things I will discuss in tomorrow's session. So maybe this time only I'll come up with those new and very important topic. So until then, bye bye and take care.